Hey guys, welcome to the ATDev Podcast. I'm so happy to be joined today by ATDev's longtime friend and advisor, Geoffrey Roche. Hey Jeffrey, how you doing?
Good, Owen. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing great. Thank you for your time today.
Ab-
So you have quite a diverse background, touching on a lot of different things in MedTech. Can you give a little bit of background on your history and how you got to where you're at today?
Absolutely. Yeah, so obviously, as many people in the healthcare space know me, I'm the son of a nurse. And certainly my mother had a huge role in influencing what really became long time of service in the healthcare space. Started in hospital administration, worked for a regional healthcare system in Northeast Pennsylvania for just under 10 years. It was really in that experience where I had the privilege of working in a strategic role with all of our service lines, which obviously included our surgical service line, our rehab, our physical therapy, as well as many others, and also did all of our work around strategic planning and business development. Then moved into academia, served the two different academic institutions, leading strategy, building strategic partnerships, also helping. It was in that space where I learned more about helping startups and really learn how to navigate what can be challenging both on the academic side, but then also on the healthcare side and then served in an ed tech company and obviously just recently left after several years of leading workforce development at Siemens Healthineers. Now serve as the senior vice president of healthcare solutions at an organization called RisePoint, where I have the privilege of leading our healthcare center of excellence and our hospital and health system partnerships team, really to scale and deliver and implement at scale nursing pre-licensure programs around the country. Still very much focused on bringing academia and healthcare systems together.
That's so interesting. And I think one of the things that always strikes me about the medtech ecosystem is the interdisciplinary nature of really how many things go into healthcare, something people take for granted. As you have gone across your career, what overarching themes and lessons have you taken from hospital administration, academia, and ultimately startups?
Yeah, a couple lessons. I think at the end of the day, it's so important that, particularly in the med tech space, that we regularly need to do a better job of actually talking about the life saving solutions or the life sustaining solutions that med tech plays.
Hmm.
And that we always have to think about the end to end consumer piece of that. I look at it during my time at Siemens, I had the incredible experience of speaking at the Biomedical Association of the US Society annual meeting. And I'm sitting there with one of the chief medical officers of several other med tech companies, including Medtronic. And I'm sitting with engineers and senior scientists, and I was sharing with the PhD students, among other professionals, why I felt it was special to have an opportunity to serve in a med tech role at a global company like Siemens.
Right.
And when I look back on my hospital time, I knew Siemens, I knew GE, I knew Philips, I knew so many. But what I didn't fully appreciate until my own life experience of how med tech plays a role each and every day in the lives of so many of us. And a lot of people know I have a pacemaker. And I think about the life saving nature of that pacemaker I've had now since February of 2020 and what that has meant for me. Now, long story short, when I was speaking at that Biomed annual meeting, I will never forget that I shared this story. And the one of the speakers from Medtronic comes up to me afterwards and he said to me, "Do you have the leadless pacemaker?" And I said, "I do. I have the leadless pacemaker." I brought out my Medtronic card that talks about the pacemaker that I have. And he said, "You won't believe this, but I worked in the development of that pacemaker."
Oh, wow. That's
There
amazing.
were a group of students sitting right nearby, and you could just tell these students who obviously are very invested in the field of med tech, like their just eyes brightened up. And I said to him, I said, "Well, thank you for helping to save my life."
Mm.
I think MedTech is a space that we have to really take time to acknowledge how far it's come and how, for so many people, not just life saving measures, but life sustaining measures like technology solutions, it's truly a very special industry that I don't think gets enough attention.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really, really powerful story, and definitely something I can relate to as a wheelchair user and someone who uses so many medical devices in my day-to-day life. It's really a privilege and an honor to be able to work in this industry to help hopefully develop the next generation of some of these devices that are hopefully going to help a lot of people.
Exactly. Exactly. And I will say the other piece of that that I should say is within the full continuum of healthcare, I've also believed we have to do a better job of allowing, particularly startups that are in this space, to be able to innovate, to be able to demonstrate their expertise and what they have to offer. I think oftentimes healthcare is a space that can be difficult to do that, and it doesn't need to be. You can
Sure.
still do it safely, effectively, with quality, with patient safety. There are ways to do it, and I think sometimes we make things more difficult than they truly need to be. And that just
Yeah.
inhibits innovation, and we know our system definitely needs that innovation.
Yeah, I agree completely. When I look back at our time at university, there's so many things like quality management systems that would have been so wonderful to learn about as a student in the
Yep.
university that would directly translate into real world job experience. And so I'm curious, as you take a view from academia, what are some things that academic institutions are doing well to prepare people to enter the workforce? And what are some things that they could improve upon?
Yeah, I think academia as a whole still has a lot of work to do to really, in my opinion, integrate with industry. And at the same time, I think industry has work to do to really want to really advance this idea of what it means to partner with academia to create a sustainable, future ready workforce. I think both aspects of this haven't done enough. There's definitely been some great one off situations, but at the end of the day, we need systemic solutions that are coming from both. It's
Right.
also important to know, right? We sit at a time where, at least in the US, we have seen a dramatic shift, particularly in the last year, over investment in the higher education space.
Sure.
And we need higher education. We need research that occurs from young students to our future researchers. We have to focus on these types of things, but we need employers to also be the leading voice of why those things are critical. And obviously, in the healthcare space, it's beyond important because they've got to be clinically licensed in many cases, right? And we really need both to be working together in conjunction and in alignment to achieve not just the workforce piece, but also from the clinical innovation, from the discovery piece, thinking about cures, thinking about medical technology, etc. One of the things that definitely has me concerned, for example, is we're at a time where we are limiting international education. But when we
Right.
actually think about it from a med tech standpoint, our med tech companies, our pharma companies generally recruit globally. We need
Yep.
a global team of professionals that have the expertise in engineering, in biomed, in the idea of developing medical devices. We've got to have, I'm not saying the experts aren't here, certainly we do, but we have to have a global solution to this. And so we have to be cognizant of those types of decisions and what they could mean to all of the work that we do within the healthcare ecosystem.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. The US is only, what is it, 4% of the world's population.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not realistic that we would be able to have all of that expertise. And I think the goal should really be how do we incentivize entrepreneurs and doctors to bring their practice to the United States because it's the most inviting place to do business.
exactly. Exactly.
And so you've done a lot of work in workforce development, particularly in healthcare. Can you talk a little bit more about some of the trends that you've seen?
Yeah, definitely. We certainly are at a very challenging time when we think about workforce and healthcare. Most people know the 2029, 2032 reports that have specifically indicated the fact that we're heading towards and are preparing for what could be very challenging times from a workforce perspective, meaning we have doctor, physician shortages. We certainly have nurse shortages. We've got allied health shortages. We've got some real significant challenges in the United States. At the same time, we've got a healthcare system that's moving more and more towards some emerging technologies. You think about the ever growing space of AI and how that can be leveraged. You think about
Sure.
the new inventions that we always see, whether it's in the surgical service line, the rehab areas, physical therapy, you name it, just we're going to continue to see that. I think to your earlier point, we have to have a better way in higher ed to best prepare and train our students for when they get into that direct care setting. And that also means both theory and practical application. We have, by far, I would say, probably some of the most challenging times ahead of us in this space, which really requires individuals that want to think differently, pioneer, be willing to try different things, and frankly, be willing to fail when we need to and learn from that failure and then turn that into an optimal solution.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's been a big guiding ethos of ATDev. A statistic I often cite is that in the United States, 10,000 people turn 65 every day.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that has such a downstream effect on so many aspects of care that these people are needing. For us, we focus primarily on physical therapy and the shortage of physical therapists, and we have positioned our technology to not replace PTs, but really 10x the amount of patients that they're able to service. And I think that's something that really needs to be emphasized, that particularly at the startup level, is that at the core of healthcare are people on
Yep.
both ends,
Yep.
and technology will not be replacing healthcare workers, nor should it.
Yep. I agree. And we also have to continue to train and educate our future healthcare professionals of that too. You look at the field of nursing, you look at the so many fields that are clinically licensed. Probably by far in the last several years, in many ways, we focused too much on kind of teaching to the test, teaching to the license, and forgot
Right.
much of that human centered focus. And we have to remember that also is clinical judgment. We have to train and prepare students for clinical judgment. It's so important. And I can't agree more with you. I'm super proud of all that you and Todd and the team have accomplished, right? This is a very challenging space. As somebody that served in global med tech, when you look at the FDA and you look at all the regulatory, frankly, barriers that exist in this space, and again, I understand why. We got to keep people safe. We've got to have good safety mechanisms and good structural elements that do. But all that you've accomplished is something to be super proud of in this space because, and as from when I first met you, your story, your experience is what first interested me because I look at we have to do what's right in this space for individuals. We have to give them an opportunity to live your best life. Everyone ought to always have that opportunity. And I think we can't ever give up on that in this ecosystem of healthcare. We've always got to be thinking about what it is, how it is to be helping other people to achieve whatever their life is, make it the best possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you saying that. So thank you. And we certainly couldn't have done it without our incredible support from advisors like yourself. So, yeah, thank you for being there to guide us along our journey.
Absolutely.
So, as we look forward, what are we always like to end on a hopeful, optimistic note? hopefully. What are some things that are trending in the healthcare space, maybe on the technology side or workforce development, that give you hope and give you excitement about what could be in store for the future?
Yeah. I'm super excited about, I'll say in the last year and a half, we definitely have seen stronger emphasis and focus on how do we bring more engagement in the K through 12 system to this work. You think about the Bloomberg Philanthropies announcement about a year and a half ago to invest 250 million in 13 different projects that involve high schools, healthcare systems, colleges, and other community-based organizations to really build healthcare connected high schools. I've met with many of their teams. In the near future, I'll tour some of those high schools that have now opened, and I'm excited about the fact that in many cases they're bringing healthcare technology, healthcare equipment into these spaces to give students the opportunity to experience it early. I I regularly tell people I'm somebody that experienced healthcare very early because my mother was a nurse. She was a single mom, and so a lot of our time was still at times following mom into work. She did bring your child to work day every time she had a chance. So I got to
Uh,
see healthcare early. For sure that had an impact when I looked at what my career would be. And we have to do that. We've got to give exposure to our youth that are going to be our future healthcare professionals, regardless of their role, whether they're a nurse, a doctor, a rehab specialist, whatever it is, we need them. But we've got to show them. We've got to model it for them and show them what and how you get there. That piece has me super excited and still continue to be excited about all the work around wearables. I love to see more and more digitally accessible aspects of healthcare because I do believe it's also how we advance health equity. This is a very diverse country. We still have very rural areas that don't have broadband internet access. And so continuing to
yeah,
have different solutions to meet different people where they're at continues to be paramount. And so that piece has me excited as well.
that's wonderful. I love that. And yeah, I think, yeah, bringing people in as early as possible is really, yeah, really great. Thank you so much for your time today, Jeffrey. It's always a pleasure to talk. And for those who might want to learn more about you or reach out, what's a good way to get in touch?
Yeah, always happy to. And obviously, Owen, thank you. And again, congratulations to you and the team for truly life changing, transformative work. Always happy to connect on LinkedIn and obviously love the work that you all are doing. And obviously, over these years, getting to know you and Todd and the team, you guys are so mission focused. And I so appreciate that. Not just because it's needed, but also you've taken the right startup approach and you guys collectively have never forgotten that mission, which I think is ought to be truly applauded because I don't think enough startups do that truly.
I appreciate that. We do our best. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening and stay tuned until the next one. Thanks, here, Jeffrey.
You're so welcome. Thank you.